Welcome to episode 1 of the BTI Podcast. Today, we meet the gang and learn a little about their journeys in the cycling industry and the passions that drive them. Enjoy!
Hey folks, we've got a crazy idea going on here. We're going to try to do a podcast. BTI crew, we've got a little addition from several different departments here at BTI. This is Pete. I normally do the BDI YouTube videos, but we're going to do something a little bit different today, just audio, and hopefully we can just get into some deeper stuff here. I've got a couple of great coworkers along with me, Derek from factory service and customer service, multi-generational, multi-department player, and also Jake, a longtime head honcho in the customer service department. So let's get right into it. Well, first of all, I'll let you guys give a little introduction of yourself. Go for it, Derek.
What's up, guys? My name is Derek. I am in the factory service department primarily with BTI as well as customer service. I've been in the bike industry maybe 12 years. I've been with BTI going into my third year. And yeah, hopefully this podcast can really shed some light on the inner workings of the industry and maybe our day-to-day lives.
Jake Inman here. Been with BTI 8 years now, overall 17 years in the bicycle industry. Grew up working in bicycle shops and been here in Santa Fe for about 8 years now. Primarily grew up riding BMX, but as I working at bicycle shops, I started riding mountain bikes and all kinds of different styles of bicycles, and I'm hooked. Can't get enough.
I've been probably in the bike industry maybe around 15-ish years, but it's super tough to calculate it out. I don't know. Plenty of part-time in and out of it all, of course. So BTI for 7 years now. Been a great gig. Love it here. So we hope to give you a little insight into the inner workings of BTI as well as who we are, what makes this company tick. Yeah, man. This is really an intro episode, so let's take a few minutes to talk to each of us and figure out how we ended up here, I'd say is a good way to start this, okay? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think we can all agree it can be a long and winding road. But, you know, we all end up where we want to be, I think, at the end of the day. And I keep coming back to bikes. I think we all share in that experience. For me, it was never really the primary plan, as it may be with most of y'all listening. It's something you just fall into. The passion can be hard to shake.
You're a failed academic, aren't you?
I'm a failed academic, like many of us in the bike industry. I'm not the only master's degree or higher holder that spun a wrench or two. But no, bikes have been great. There's a reason why I'm still doing it, and it is, you know, part passion, part culture. I mean, it really can be a great lifestyle, and you really take from it what you want to take from it. You know, if you want a more higher end or even fitness oriented, approach to cycling, that's there for you. If you want a little more of a dirt bag experience, well, that's there too. To say I've walked in both worlds is an understatement.
Perfect. Yeah, there you go.
So for you, Pete, what was I think you've probably been in the industry longest. What was your first foot in the door, so to speak?
Yeah, I worked at a bike shop in college, and it felt like it was this parallel education with my actual college degree. Learned about suspension. The shop owners were like constantly on the phone with bike developers talking about their experiences, and I was learning to ride at a higher caliber and work on bikes and sell bikes and just all the tech at the same time. So that was the start of it. And I just kind of used that sort of to fill in time between other career jobs. I worked for the Fish and Wildlife Service for a while and worked a variety of other biology type jobs with bike shops always sort of on the periphery, and that was always a sweet thing to fall back on. So moving here to Santa Fe, I was again working retail at a bike shop and ended up applying to BTI, and they took a risk on me. So that's kind of how I'm here. I didn't have the experience that I probably needed for the current job I've got. I've learned it, and I think I do okay at it now. So Jake, tell us your story, man.
Yeah, my story more so just began, I think I was 14. I had to get a worker's permit, if I recall. Bike City in Albuquerque, down Wantabo. That was my first kind of entry into bicycle shops. No longer around, unfortunately. Started out as a bike builder, seasonal bike builder. It was Christmas time. I was just cranking out kids' bikes and kind of mid-range stuff. They didn't give me the juicy stuff. Towing in, V-brakes and dialing them in. And that was kind of short-lived.
Everything's short-lived when you're 14, right?
Yeah. I guess some kind of sketchy stuff happened and my mom wasn't having it. And can't remember where I went after that, but it definitely wasn't bicycles. And I just had to pay my pager bill, and so I think I was working in an Italian ice place after that. But from there it evolved into a handful of bicycle shops throughout Albuquerque, and Albuquerque Bicycle Center, Fat Tire Cycles, helped open up the Trek Bicycle Superstore in Albuquerque. That was wild. I guess that's most of the shop time that I've spent. Came up to BTI in 2015, and it's been really interesting, coming into the inside, more so as far as just like a desk job. That's kind of weird for me, for someone that likes to move around.
I think all of us, really. We've all been on our feet, talking to people face to face, and then you end up in a desk job, and it's a huge change, right?
Yeah, and thankfully it's been balanced with getting out to bicycle shops and kicking tires and visiting dealers and riding bicycles, and it's amazing to see where I'm at now, and it's been a wild ride, that's for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So maybe let's take just like a super short minute, since you're kind of talking about what you're doing now, like talk about your role here and just a little bit of the details of what that is.
Currently the customer service lead and also overseeing some dealers. Mostly between the Four Corners-ish area.
So you've got a regional focus for the dealers that you watch out for, plus whatever happens in these walls, kind of thing, right?
Absolutely, yeah. There's a lot to juggle, but getting into bicycle shops is definitely a healthy balance. That's where I spent most of my time, so definitely helps balance out the get a good understanding of what's going on in bicycle shops, and I miss the smells and the people and the culture.
Smells, come on, man.
Nothing like some fresh rubber. So the people, the culture, that's the meat on the bone for you. Would you say so?
Yeah, that's my comfort zone for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, there is something to be said for the physical and the mechanical aspects of the job. I mean, for me, working in factory service, that's a big part of what I do, but I still do field quite a fair number of phone calls, both from prospective factory service customers and in the customer service phone queue, and speaking with our dealers and especially the mechanics, the employees, the folks on the ground, so to speak. It's quite nice. It's refreshing, and I think that's been a big reason why I've always sort of returned to the industry, so to speak, over the years, despite having different ventures and interests kind of pull me away at times. It definitely feels like home,
Heck yeah. So I'm actually on the buyer side, so a little different than these other two guys. Talk a lot more on the phone with our vendors and the contacts there, sharing the BTI feelings and insight back with them, as well as, kind of hearing the bigger industry sentiments and bringing that back to BTI. So another big part of that is just the inventory management. Of course, we're placing POs and stocking the warehouse with the products that we actually sell, but also setting pricing, setting sales, things that are even writing our website out. A lot of the bullet mistakes that you see out there are totally from me. But
at least you're not giving away Kenda times.
I do my best on the pricing, at least. Yeah. So, that's definitely the big part of my job. Of course, we've got into some marketing the last few years doing fresh produce, and that's been super fun. But yeah, I'm really stoked on the tech side of stuff and love learning and reading about the new products and kind of how things all fit together, thinking about how they're going to fit with riders' needs too, and describing the products to help jive with, help people find them, basically, is the goal. Definitely weird to be in the bike industry, but then be at a computer job. But I think for all of us, a huge draw is to be Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Man, it's pretty sweet compared to some of the jumbled schedules you might get in the more retail end. So that's always cool.
There's some times I miss the Tuesday midday trailhead crowd.
No doubt about it.
The Saturday mornings get a little crowded, but having the reliability of this side of the industry is quite nice.
Everything has upsides and downsides. We know it for sure.
Nothing like a sleepy midweek weekend, though,
Yeah. You catch some good powder days when you always have Tuesdays and Thursdays off.
Pete, in dealing with these vendors, you begin to form relationships with these folks. In your experience dealing with a little bit, I guess, deeper into the industry, where do these folks come from generally? Are they usually from shops as well, in your experience, or?
It really depends. So yeah, I would say the business owner, it depends on the size of the vendor, right? So if the business itself is super big, or and a lot of times then you've got a business owner that maybe hasn't been in a shop, they just invented something cool, or has been always more on a production side of things. But a lot of times, for a smaller business, or even sometimes in the case of a business that's so big, they've got people on dealing with me still as a big customer that are more from the shop side. Those guys that's always a great avenue for people that want to get out of shops, is to go work at a vendor or a brand, so to say. One of my favorites just told me she's got a different role in the company, but she has been in so many levels, worked at shops, worked at distributors, from the warehouse deeper into other parts of the company, now at a vendor, and now kind of dealing with the customer service side of a vendor. I think it's pretty cool how many people have worked their way through all this variety, and so many folks do come from shops, for sure.
Well, I think it's part of our company's story. I mean, Preston and Andrew, they were just bike guys.
That's right.
With an idea.
Yep.
And, here we are 30 going on 31 years later. So there's, it can be hard to be in the retail space, but there's many avenues that experience can take you down, and vice versa. I mean, there are plenty of folks that leave, the industry side to go back to retail.
That's right. We have a couple of old employees that have opened shops leaving here and are now running shops with the additional experience that they've got. I think that also speaks to the industry and what draws us all back in, right? Okay, so we kind of talked a little bit about how we got into the industry. What about just actually riding bikes? Like, I'm not talking about learning to ride when you're 4 years old or 6 years old.
Straight out of the womb.
Yeah, right. Boom.
Wheeling right out, man.
Let's talk about just kind of like when that passion kicked in, when you were like, oh yeah, I'm doing this. This is never leaving.
Wow, yeah. Bikes were always around when I was a kid. I was, very lucky to have a couple bikes kicking around. For me, it was transportation. It was freedom. I grew up with pretty relaxed parents. Thankfully, to me, hopping on the bike was my transportation to get from one side of town to the other, visiting my friends, jumping bikes, everything in between, really. I would say probably when I was like in middle school, it really kind of came together. I just started with an empty lot near my mom's house, and someone in the neighborhood decided to dump off a bunch of dirt. And I noticed driving to the grocery store with the family, every now and then I'd see some kids just shaping lips into the dirt. And then, I ended up riding my Redline 340 over there and started jumping bikes. And The crazy thing is there's still people that I met that day that are still doing it, whether they're working at shops or still jumping bikes. But I guess that's kind of where it all started.
How old were you?
I was in middle school, 6th grade.
Okay, yeah.
So
I feel like I had the
14.
same experience when you were 12 years old. I did when I was like 19.
Yeah.
Saw a lip and was like, oh, that's it, bro.
Yeah. We built our own paradise. Really, we built all these dirt jumps and people would cycle in, cycle out. At that time, I hate to say older dudes, but we always looked up to like the Heschers, right? Like they may have been crazy and wild, but I would like to say we've learned some things from them along the way. I always dreamt of perhaps running my own bicycle company, but those days are definitely long gone. That was like the high school pipe dream, right?
You got some years left, don't worry.
Yeah.
He's not that old.
Yeah.
Cool. I remember riding bikes with my family as a kid and just kind of hating it. Like my parents would take us on these like boring fitness rides. So I had a sour taste in my mouth for a while, I think. But right before I left for college, I just had a good buddy who was super into skiing. And my ski buddy, we'd be shredding the mountains every weekend. I grew up in California and riding Tahoe and stuff, so he was like an older friend driving me to the mountains all the time. And he, I think his brothers even were riding mountain bikes already. And so we all were just like, all right, let's get some bikes and ride with our older friends. So got one. This was just right, like I said, right before entering college, which miraculously was in Santa Cruz. And at the point of being able to ride out my dorm room doors into these world-class kind of like illegal secret trails at UC Santa Cruz was like a pretty special experience. By the time I was done with college, I was like going to class in my mountain bike gear with like a notebook in my Camelback and then just pedaling out of the lecture halls for a couple-hour ride right after class. And that was clearly super key point in my life. Aside from just that shop experience, it was just being able to ride all the time, ride to class on trails, ride right out of class, right back onto trails, and just spent a ton of time sitting out in the woods. So that was it.
How far of a haul was it from the lecture hall to the trailhead for you?
Like literally 100 yards.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Like it was, you could just see it. It was right across the street in most cases, but it was not a trailhead. It was just like the beginning of the fire road. And
Cut
then,
in the woods.
Yeah, and then you'd have to kind of know where to turn off because there was no real trail, and then you'd just like pop out through some manzanita bushes and like, boom, sweet jump line. There's still some stuff that I was like, whoa, way too gnarly. Like people were filming pro lines, back on these illegal trails where I was riding. It was pretty cool.
I did not come of age in Santa Cruz.
Lucky.
My foray into mountain biking started pretty young, actually. My old man got into racing mountain bikes in the mid-90s. And so about the time I came of age, went on down, I guess, the Academy Sports or some such in Amarillo, picked up a cheap hardtail, and he would take me out on the oil field roads behind our house and the occasional weekend trip down to Palo Duro Canyon to see some real trail. And I was hooked. From day one.
Ripping Scandi flicks out on the old dirt roads, huh?
Those are words, I think. But I don't know, Jake, what you said about, the freedom, the liberation for me as a kid. I mean, growing up in a really small oil field town in West Texas, getting on the bike and just having the network of oil field roads, that just was an endless adventure. In fact, I was so into it, God, I couldn't have been much older than 5 or 6. I had an old PC in my room with like Windows 95 on it and a printer. I printed up a little flyer, bike repair, put our address on it, and like rode to the end of our street, a couple other streets in the neighborhood, and like hung these signs up. Oh, and I told my parents what I did, and they were so pissed. Take that shit down right now.
You're going to get yourself in trouble ruining somebody else's bike.
Oh, little did they know, in the 90s in small town Texas, I was probably the only person on a bicycle. But, and it always stuck with me. moving around as a kid, finding those hidden jump lines in the woods at the city park. Later, when I went to college, my campus had about 5 miles of trail on it. So much like your experience, though no Santa Cruz, I was often on my mountain bike on campus, and eventually became the steward for those trails and the mechanic for our rental bike fleet. And
yeah, I worked at the UCSC bike co-op for a minute too. That place was sweet.
That's just such a good foot in the door, for so many people in this industry. It's, you don't find out till you're a little bit older, till you have the spare capital to buy a bike of your own and can really kind of do your own thing. That was sort of my experience as well, I guess. Becoming more of a serious rider was in college. I had those trails right there. I had a community that liked to ride, and it became my job. Yeah. And then through some injuries in college athletics, I really started to ride seriously. And through the grapevine, like most people in this industry, you hear of a shop owner who's looking for someone who knows left from right, and before you know it, here I am, still spinning wrenches.
Let's just call it out. You broke your feet, right?
I broke both my feet multiple times.
Luckily, we're not talking about slamming in a car door or something. You just repetitive injury. You're a professional runner at this point.
It's close enough.
Yeah. All right.
And yeah, the road bike was my only reprieve during those 2 summers in particular. And my college coach was a fantastic cyclist, and he really inspired, I guess, those more fitness oriented and racing oriented skills. So
heck yeah, something a lot more of us could probably help to do a little bit more with it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just had next steps here. Let's just quickly run through. I don't know if you want to talk about your first bike, but let's talk about your current bikes. Jake's got a big old fleet, man.
I have a handful of bicycles these days.
Yeah.
Most of the riding I did the last year was on a Sklar Super something. I've always loved the looks of the Sklar. Had no idea how amazing they rode. One of Adam's first Taiwanese production runs, and it was a little more affordable, and kind of just reminds me of just the hopping on that bicycle. It's just, from the house to wherever the hell you want to go, right? It's kind of the first bicycle that I've had.
That is just a do-it-all bike. Especially the way you have it built up. Like, you got flat bars on it.
Got my Riser Doom 2-piece bars on there, and
for those that don't know, this is a bike that's probably more often built up as like a gravel bike or some sort of adventure drop bar bike. But you have it built up with flat bars. A big mountain cassette.
Yeah.
But sort of fast-ish tires, right?
Yeah. Some of the Panaracer Driver 29 by 2.2s, fantastic tire.
I just think that bike is so cool because it, like, in the age of our bikes being so hyper-focused, that bike is, like, insanely versatile. It's just made to do literally anything you want to do.
Wait till you ride one. It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
It's a good balance. That bike saw a lot of attention this year. I also am a big fan of the Monet La Roca. Love that thing.
So you have 2 super niche steel bikes made for just like tooling around in the boonies.
Yeah, a little bit of bike packing, some dirt bagging. That's good stuff. And then of course I have an Ibis Ritmo AF, and that's been an amazing bicycle.
The neglected bike, we'll call it.
It's a little neglected. I'm not gonna lie. Most of the rides, were from the house, and I hopped on the faster bike for that one, at least for this season. But I've got a BMX bike too that sees a little bit of attention. A S&M Credence Mod, which is a little more kind of mid-school BMX geometry.
We didn't really do a good job of highlighting Jake's real BMX background.
Yeah, but that bike keeps me sane, and there's plenty of things to ride on the 20 around here. Even a curb, I'm happy. But a few other just kind of classics. I've got like a Ritchie, like 87 Ritchie Ascent.
Do you still have that green bike that you made?
I do, yeah. I still have that thing. That's my. I went to UBI in 2010, I think 2012, 2010, and took the chromoly brazing class, and I learned a lot there, and I basically mimicked a salsa casserole because I really liked the way those things ride. I like that stack in the head tube, not super flexible. But yeah, that thing's still rolling around, man.
That's cool. I mean, just to have a bike that you build by hand is so cool.
It's pretty sweet. Yeah.
Even if you don't ride it, just have that in your closet forever. It's so neat.
Yeah, I highly suggest getting over to UBI if you ever have dreamt of building your own bicycle. It's fun stuff. Yeah.
Is that it? You got a couple more?
Oh man, there's a few things hanging in the basement, but nothing really. Yeah, just collecting dust at this point. When I first moved to Santa Fe, though, I had like 17 bikes.
Oh my God, that's a moving truck worth of bikes.
Yeah, a lot of shitters, but yeah, I feel like when you're in a bicycle shop and you have all these parts and you have this frame and it's easy to just kind of build up I guess what you'd call like a bar bike, right? Like I had a handful of bar bikes when I moved up here.
You definitely need more than one.
Some cool stuff. I know that. Every bike swap, Santa Fe bike swap that comes around, I swear people know me because I just give it away. But come on over. Got some bikes for sale.
Thought you were going to give away your money when you're buying other people's junker bikes. What's up, Derek? How many you got?
Right now, 5.5 maybe.
Oh yeah.
So I've really tried hard to cull my quiver, so to speak. So right now I really have 4 bikes that I have with me here in Santa Fe. I have a Gen 3 Santa Cruz Tallboy. Really nothing too special there. XT drivetrain.
It's a workhorse.
I rarely see you ride that thing, and the times I have, you just disappear. What the hell?
Yeah, exactly.
What's funny is I ride that bike through town. Like I leave from my apartment and go hit the Arroyo Hondo and ride back to my apartment. It's,
of course.
That bike, it's hard to say which of my bikes has seen more action in the last year. That one's definitely up there, though, surprisingly.
I mean, it's tough not to in Santa Fe. We have sweet trails. They're pretty close.
We're truly spoiled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't come here.
Don't
Trails
come here.
suck. Don't
it
come.
blows. The only other bike that probably sees more action than the Tallboy is my Kona Libre. That was kind of a COVID build, so it's got some real interesting parts on it, to say the least. I also have an old Trek Superfly single speed, or not Superfly. No, it is a Trek Superfly single speed.
SS.
I had one of the old Gary Fisher single speeds, but I gave that bike to my dad because I had the 2015 aluminum version. And then I have an old college bar bike, old Nash Bar Special. Paid like $350 for as a sophomore in college.
Heck yeah.
And that's kind of my road bike. I guess. Up in a shed in Colorado, I have an old Specialized Alley that needs some parts thrown at it. But that old Nash Bar scratches the road itch for me. I'll go put like 40-mile road ride down on that thing.
Really? Does that have flat bars or drop bars?
Drop bar, yeah. Also have a Da Vinci Wookiee that's just in pieces.
What is that even? I've never heard of that.
A hardtail cross-country bike Da Vinci made.
Aluminum?
No carbon.
Really? Sick.
Graphite?
That was carpet fiber.
Carpet fiber?
I was running a beer-eccentric bottom bracket in that. I ran that at single speed for a long time. But eventually started riding that Superfly more because it felt a little bit more stiff with the through-axle boost.
Oh, so that's a QR bike.
Yeah, that old Wookiee's QR. So
I was gonna say you should get that thing back up and running for some big laps, but maybe not.
Yeah, I may. The tentative plan this year for the Superfly is to put the stranglehold dropouts with a derailleur hanger on it. And I kind of want to build that bike up as a bike packing bike. That's sort of the one category I don't really have a good bike for. The Libre comes close, but the way I have it geared, it's a little too quick to load up. It is. It's a little racy.
I've seen you ride mountain bike trails on that thing just fine.
Yeah, but you start putting weight on it, it gets hard.
Sure.
I'm a low watt rider. I'm a small guy, so you start packing on the pounds, and my quickness dissipates quickly. Pete, didn't you recently sell a bike?
Yeah, I'm just holding SB 130. I'm down to just a drop bar bike. We're filming this in the middle of winter, so there's nowhere to ride a mountain bike anyways. Well, at least for me. I just have a real hate, I'll just say it outright, of flat sandy trails, which is what we need to ride in the middle of winter in Santa Fe or New Mexico. And so, it's no
Sandy? You mean decomposed granite?
Yeah. So at the moment, it's no harm done to have no bike. I'm happy to go ski every day. I'm a split boarder, and I put in plenty of uphill and downhill miles all through the winter. But that being said, my main bike at the moment is a drop bar gravel bike, Rondo Rut. It's a little known sister of the NS bike brand that I bought from BTI a couple of years ago. Relatively light, seems fine. Thing sits on my trainer inside the kitchen more than often than not. But I'm putting on some miles. I'm trying to train for an upcoming Santa Fe gravel race and maybe a little bit of more gravel racing this spring. But for sure, we'll be adding another mountain bike to the quiver.
You looking at single day gravel, multi-day?
Nah, single day, man. 100 miles, probably a maximum 50 miles if I'm really honest. Yeah, that's where I'm at, just riding that. But I'm super looking forward to a new bike. I'm stoked on trying something brand new. Probably going to rip a transmission drivetrain and, some modern high-end suspension. So
What's next, man? What's next on the docket?
Well, wait, before we get on to a next bike, let me just also tell you about this rad bar bike since you guys both covered your bar bikes.
You got to talk about the bar bike.
Kona?
I have Kona Huma Huma Nuka Nuka Apua Ai.
Yup.
Named after the Hawaiian state fish. That I've had that since another bike shop in Santa Cruz, and it's a steel loop tail, beach cruiser. Thing rides so beautiful. I've got a kid seat on it. I've got some tires that can, rip some dirt. So I take the kid on dirt rides, neighborhood dirt rides all the time. I still ride it a ton. It's rad. I have a 2-speed kickback.
Hell yeah.
2-speed kickback hub on it with the coaster brakes. There's still no cables, but I can
clean.
With an extra 35 pounds on there with the kid, I can still pedal up a hill, just kick back to shift it.
I want to put one of those in my bar bike so bad.
Yeah, it's really sad because it lives outside, but it does. It's holding up good, and it's a sick bike. Yeah, pretty stoked on that.
It's running season, Pete. No need to ride the trainer. You know what I saw last night? It's two elder Santa Feans cross-country skiing next to the rail trail on their way to the rail yards.
Beautiful.
Why not? When in Rome.
Heck yeah,
Just that much snow this year. Normally we can ride year-round, but...
I skinned from 10 to 12,000 feet with the flu on Friday, so, that's also...
Sweat it out.
Yeah, let's do it. All right. Love to hear from you guys. We talked about a whole bunch, and I think that we just scratched the surface of the possibilities here. Got some cool stories in. I think we have a lot more to tell and some good stuff to laugh about throughout.
Oh, yeah. I know if this ever makes the light of day, it would be great to know what resonates most. Personal stories, tech, industry, talk. We've got it all, and we've got it in spades. So.
Thank you, guys. That was a really enjoyable time spent. Let's wrap it up. We'll see y'all next time. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Thank you.